Andrew, along here with Cynthia Basinet. And I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Sure, of course.
Now, for people who want to know what uncensored is my way of showing people that even with a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any type of learning disabilities or disabilities in general, that you should never give up or have people label you, and you should prove to them you can still amount to something. This is a half hour, 45 minutes in conversation. You can say anything you want, you curse if you want to, and this is your time after all, so let's get started. Now, I know it's knowledge and you had an elevator. It's like, wow, that's really cool. Okay, you have to be rich. I want an elevator in my room.
Loft building. It was built during the Civil War, so it was used for as warehouses and things.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I used from the beginning. I only got the part of what he said. It was from the Civil War. It was built as a warehouse, and anything before that, Google Hangout closed.
Okay. I was just saying that the elevator exists because it's an older building. It's a loft building built down here in Soho, which is an area of New York City. And Soho means, you're from Hudson Valley. Soho is south of Houston. So I'm here between Houston and Canal, where they had an actual canal at one point. And that's why there's a big elevator here, because it was used as a warehouse. And as you heard me say, it was built apparently around the Civil War.
Yeah, that's really cool. So the building, it's about 200 years old?
Can you imagine?
It looks brand new, though.
Oh, well, this portion is refined. There's another section where the work is done and it's open ceilings and has the original beams.
Oh,
and the big, I don't know if you can see, but it has those big windows.
Oh, that's nice. Now, for people who want to know, what do you do? You're in a nice office, so are you in charge? Are you a CEO, or what do we do?
Well, I run my own record company, so I'm online to deal with the music directors on radio stations and write the press releases, design the albums, distribute the music, but I'm also a singer and an actor.
Well, after the show, I do have a couple of ideas for you.
Yes?
But while on the subject, I would love to work with you if that's a possibility.
Well, we always are open. You never know what the future brings.
Now, you mentioned, I think I saw it on your Twitter, that your #1 hit is Santa Baby. Are you the original person that sang that, or did you take it over from someone?
I took it over from Eartha Kitt. She's the one that influenced me. I used to hear it on the radio in Los Angeles, so I contacted the DJ, Michael Mann, and he made me a cassette. That's how long ago it was. It was a cassette. And I put it on my answering machine at Christmas time from my telephone, and I would use a little section of her voice, and then I would turn it down and just say, "If you just leave a message for me," right?
Right.
And like you're saying about overcoming and wanting to take control of your destiny, I thought at the time I was acting and modeling, and I had always grown up being a musician, but I was a single mom. So the music was something that was kind of on the back burner. And then I realized you can't wait. You have to, put it out there. So I started recording, and then at Christmas time, I made a CD for all the, I made it for the person in my life. I sang to him, but also was because I made a lot of commercials. So a lot of the directors that I auditioned for and worked for, have gone on to be major directors like Michael Bay, Wrigley Scott, Gus Van Sant. So all these people got my Christmas card with Santa Baby on it. And then at the Millennium, I launched it via the internet. And from that moment, it took off, and it's become the template that everybody sings to at Christmas, that version.
Now, do you mean 99 or you mean 2000? 2000, right?
I launched it at the Christmas of 99. So going into the Millennium. It was like a gift for the whole world to sing in perfect harmony, like the Coke commercial. So I thought, what song would everybody be able to sing to? And Santa Baby was the song I could clear the license for, because the writer, Phil, is very kind and gave me the release. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be sitting here talking today.
Now, while on the subject, before we get into how you created your own company, when you were back in high school and college, especially college, it's a two-part question. First part is, were you a study nerd or party animal in college? And when you were in high school, were you athletic? Did you do sports?
Okay, I would say I was a party nerd in high school. And then by the time I got to college, I was pretty serious, but I was already a mom, so it's a different mindset perhaps. It was much more important while I was there to be super focused. But I definitely qualify in the party nerd musician category. I played first chair in the jazz band and the marching band, and designed all the little uniforms for us to march in, and I loved it. It was great.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I always wanted to do that.
Yeah, music, I was lucky I got to grow up with music in the schools. So I don't think my brain and my discipline would be the same if I didn't have that structure. Because unfortunately, I grew up with glasses, so I was horrible at sports.
Yeah, same here.
I used to give points to the other team, so they would take me.
I used to, I have slow reflexes, but I can, if you say, okay, here comes the ball, I can prepare myself.
Sure.
I had numerous cracks to the face saying, hey, think fast, and he used to whack me in the...
You can't think so, yeah, sure.
I hated people like that. I say, don't throw it at my face, I'm not fast enough. Okay, we won't throw you. Think fast. It's kind of like...
Think how much time we would save if people didn't pick on everyone.
That's true.
I mean, I got the same thing, so we're in the same boat.
I remember I called one kid a son of a bitch, and it's uncensored, you can say whatever you want. Because I told him, the reason I called him a son of a bitch, is I told him, I was about 6, 7 years old, I said, don't throw the ball, please. Do not throw the ball at my face, I won't catch it. Okay, no problem. Think fast. And he hits me in the face and my glasses go flying, and I'm like...
Sure.
You know, it's kind of like... Thank God my glasses didn't break, but I lost count how many times I got hit in the face and my glasses went flying. It's ridiculous.
We're like the new Walmart commercial, not to promote Walmart, but the kid keeps breaking his glasses, so they keep getting a new pair, because I guess they warranty them or something for the year.
Actually, it's kind of funny you should bring that up. My dad, when I was about 4 or 5, I had the same pair of glasses my dad has. You know, the big clunky ones, the big frames. And they were constantly breaking. And it's like you said, I might as well, yeah, you know, so I could do a promo for Walmart, you know, hey, come on in and we give you a new pair, and yeah.
You know, I think because they were so big, because I know that era, it's almost like it gave them more space to break.
Right.
You know, now that they're smaller, the frame protects the area more. When they were bigger, it was almost like it allowed more area to not, you know, be shielded by the frame.
Especially the handle part. It was always the handle parts that broke.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, plus you're supposed to take them off, you know. Just if you take just one hand, it stretches them out. You always have to take off your glasses with 2 hands.
Well, actually, you look better without your glasses, I'm just saying.
But my eyes cross. You know.
Well, but
You got the smart side.
That's true, but you look good. But in the next question I was going to ask you is, did you ever get the chance to do one of those human pyramids, or are you not a human pyramid girl?
I'm not a human pyramid girl.
I love that stuff. I know, I'm a loser.
Physically, you mean when people stack on top of each other?
Yes.
It's incredible. I've seen it on TV. I'm just, you know, kind of in my own world, so I never really thought about stacking on. But if I don't know. I think it's incredible when I see people doing it. It's amazing.
Well, if you're interested, maybe we can do like a record league where you can find some people and you can be like a picture of your next album or something.
That's an interesting concept. I don't know if I don't know. We'll keep that thought open.
Now, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to pass the show over to you. Is how did you start your company, and who influenced you?
Okay. I started it because I inherited the used computer from my commercial agent at the time. So I got her computer, and I had the song files, and mp3.com had just come into existence maybe 2 years prior, but I was the 59th artist to launch via mp3.com. So that was the beginning of the company. And then my first fan, Fern Reed in Toronto, discovered me and sent me a fan letter. From that moment on, she helped me understand, you know, writing HTML codes, newsletters, fans, completely kept me shielded from anything in Hollywood at the time, and kept my brain on business constantly. Because I was in California, so the office hours were different.
Right.
I would kind of try to squeeze in when she would have free time, and she's still my closest friend, and I wouldn't be singing. I wouldn't have the career. My career would not have taken the path of the internet and then going to see refugees and taking this more socially activist voice had I not launched via the internet. Any other form would have controlled too much the message.
Well, what about YouTube? How you feel about that?
Well, I think YouTube's fine if we could all make some money off of it.
Well, supposedly there's a way to make money, but you need like 1,000 people following you.
Yeah, I don't know where the cutoff is.
Well, like I said, you help me, I help you, so it's,
That's how we grow. That's the point of the internet. That's the whole point of everything. We're all connected.
That's true. Now, actually, before I pass the show over to you, one more question, if you don't mind. What were the biggest names that you worked with so far? And who do you want to work with?
Vocally, let's see. I've worked with Tony Bennett's pianist, Lee Musicers, did my last 3 songs. He composed and produced them. I've worked with Alec Baldwin, actor-wise. I've worked with Cameron Diaz. She's a hoot. I used to model with her, too. So we were with the same agents. If you wanted the blonde, you got Cameron. If you wanted a redhead, you got me. And there was a brunette named Jennifer Jimenez. And the brunette, that's who we kind of, I guess, all had a similar essence to each other. So let's see here. And who would I like to work with? I'd like to duet with, I have a list, but like Willie Nelson, I'd like to croon with somebody else. I'd like to duet with somebody else.
Are you still in contact with Cameron Diaz and, what's it, Tony Bennett's friend?
Yes, but Cameron, I'm not. We just worked together last year on I did 2 little things on her project, so that's how I know her still.
Well, if you can put a good word in, I'd ever be thankful.
Certainly. And plus, we're all LinkedIn, so it grows.
Now, it's funny, you should mention Tony Bennett. Actually, I can tell you after the show, my dad's name. But my dad met Tony Bennett, so it would be pretty funny. Like, hey, do you remember blah, blah, blah. But while on the subject of funny stories, before we get to that, I promised I was going to pass the show over to you. So now if this is your time, I'll put you in the driver's seat. Anything you want to ask me, anything you want to talk about, or...
So, when did you start doing this?
I started back in 2013.
Okay.
And don't ask me why, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. But I did all phone conversations. And so I did 72 of those. And I interviewed Kurgan Mayhem, Barbara Goodson, Ron Reisman, to Eric Vale, to Richard Epcar, to let's see, who else do you may know?
A creeper.
Well, are you friends with a lot of voiceover people?
I don't know that many, unfortunately. Yeah.
But I interviewed people from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Dragon Ball Z, Spider-Man.
Cool.
And the good news is that I got 72, and half of them I became friends with. And the other half were just assholes. And they said to me...
Life.
That's true. And they said, oh, well, we only did it... And when I did a follow-up, because to make a long story short, is they said, oh, why don't you have a sponsor? Why aren't you as big, or wink, wink, bigger than you portray yourself to be? Why don't you have sponsors? Why don't you have people helping you? Well, would you like to help me with that? No, if you can't do it yourself, and it's not meant to be. And it's like, yeah, thanks for the support, ass. I didn't say that to him, I was thinking it.
Of course, yeah.
And so I did it over, and half of the people I became friends with as Power Rangers, Kurgan Mayhem, or Ron Wiseman, Richard Epcar. They were nice enough to do the video format for me. And there were other people who I interviewed the first time said, yeah, well, you should have told us it was only a demo, or, I thought it would help me with my career, or I thought I would get something out of it. whatever. And we used to, and it's kind of like you can't please everyone, but I don't mean to bitch to you. I apologize.
No, I asked, and if it's of any comfort, I think everywhere I go, nearly in New York, sitting here, and I'm standing in line, and I'm at Dwayne, and I'm at a pharmacy, and I talk to the security guy, or I talk to somebody in line with me, or I talk to the cashier, or I go in another store, or I go in an office, I'm in an elevator, I'm in a park, everyone is saying the same thing. I'm hearing it from here to refugee camps, from fans around the world, and the hardest thing is we internalize the message when that message is being projected out to everybody. They change it a little bit to each different person, to have, more control. So they may change who they're directing it at. Like me, I have freckles and red hair, so, maybe they say, hey, Pippi Longstocking, you suck. But, I grew up, I don't know if you know this, but my older brother is mentally challenged.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's has a different challenges than you. So maybe growing up and always seeing life in the way people would look at me, look at my brother, look at my other brother, my dad, constantly. It's probably the reason why I opened my mouth to sing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay. Just so that I could maybe be the voice for him that he didn't get. But he gives me different things. So, we are all in this together.
Yeah, absolutely. And while on the same subject, my eldest brother has a disability too. So I guess we're in the same boat on that.
Wow. How many years older?
He's 42.
Uh-huh.
But that was a long, involved story. Basically, the doctor fucked up on him.
Yeah, I understand.
And
oxygen to the brain.
It basically, the highlights was he had an umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. He stopped breathing, and basically the doctor screwed up. So if the doctor didn't screw up, he would have been married by now. He would have had kids, and I would have been the only one who has a disability. But we're in the same boat. It's kind of weird. He looks up to me. It's kind of like I should the opposite, where I should look up to him. But we are close. I sometimes piss him off, but I'm always here for him and vice versa, because I'm a good person.
It's good you have that camaraderie.
Family's really important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we look at a situation and we think, if this didn't happen, this now would be happening. But in life, you never know, things can happen where that dream gets taken away. So, relish the moments you have with your brother as he is, as you are, and not what you think could be or should be.
That's true. I give you a perfect example. Like, I collect, actually, I'm not going to go into that one, but I give you a perfect example of how I worked in retail, and it gave me an excuse to leave school early. And I'm thinking to myself, if I never went to this program, there would have been something else to replace it with, and it could have been a lot better, or it could have been a lot worse.
It froze when you said which program.
Oh, there's this program called job coaching, or job shadowing. It's basically where people in this organization, and won't mention the name, but there's an organization that helps people with special needs get a job, and they come from work in the high school. And so I was lucky enough to go get a job over at the North Face. And I was thinking about if I never got the chance to work over at North Face. And
is that the clothing store, North Face?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And if I never got the chance to go over there and I stayed in the high school, there would have been something else to replace it with, and you don't know how that would have been something better or something worse.
Right. No, I mean, that's the whole journey of life, is which door opens rather than which door closed, you know?
That's true. And now, John, I'm going to pass it back over to you. What was one thing at a high school that you loved the most? So what's the one thing that, or not just in high school, what's the one thing that influenced you the most in saying, if it wasn't for this, it wouldn't have led me to where I am today?
Well, obviously the music. I love to cook. That's another thing. But when I was younger, in the driveway next door to me was an MGB that my father had spent 4 years working on and rebuilding. And then the kid also then had it rebuilt, you know, exteriorly. My dad did the engine and I helped him, you know, got a cherry picker, yanked out the transmission. So for 4 years of my life, I watched this car and saved for it and babysat and everything like that. And then when I was 14, bought the car. I couldn't drive it yet. Put it in front of my house. Waited until I could get a learner's permit. Then my dad taught me how to drive. And that red MGB, I had a tonneau cover and then really nice speakers. So probably the sound in that car was a pretty fantastic memory. And the times that my friends all had in that car. Went to the beach. It was pretty nice to have a convertible in California back then.
No, I bet. Yeah, with the one car, it's a similar story, but the one car my dad had that he hated because the car was constantly breaking. But I used to imagine it as a spaceship. Was a Dodge Shadow, 1992 Dodge Shadow.
Oh yeah, it was always breaking.
Yeah, or whatever reason it was. I remember the car that's sitting there in the driveway. It's like, well, let's take the Shadow. Why? It's only got a brake on it.
Oh, so close and yet so far. I love cars.
If you could, what's your favorite car that you would buy?
Maybach? No. I don't know, man. I wouldn't mind getting my hand on a Tesla. You know? I don't know. For right now, I just have a bike. The pedal kind.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, sure. It's a lot of fun in New York.
I would say either a Chevy. I like the ones in the Transformers movie, the yellow Camaro.
Sure.
Or the Mustang.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the bikes. So what's your opinion on the new motorcycles? They seem very interesting, and I suck at balancing, but if it's great at balancing, I would definitely buy it. I think it's called a Spider. It's like
yeah, go ahead.
It's like a tricycle at the front and has the two big wheels in the back.
I think they're fantastic. My father rode a motorcycle. Well, he stopped when we were young. And then when we got older, my dad got a bike. And people would fly from all over the world and go on bike rides with my dad down to Baja, California, up to Canada, New Orleans. He was a very interesting man. And he had one eye. He would ride the motorcycle with one eye. But I ride a pedal bike. I don't ride a motorcycle. I'm too afraid.
Well, if you want to teach me balancing, I can pay you for your time. I suck at balancing.
I don't know how you get the balancing down. I don't know.
I had bad experiences with bikes. I used to ride my sister's bike because it was low enough and it was easy. Oh, it's a girl's bike. Why do you want a girl's bike? Because it's easy for me to use.
Yes.
You'll laugh at this one. My brother had a big bike, the big yellow one. And I was like, oh, I want to try it. So I got on and I moved like an inch. And next thing you know, I'm on the floor and my leg got wrapped around the
pedal?
The chain and everything. Scared the shit out of me. I thought I had to get my leg cut off.
Yeah, but it was too much thrown at you. You have to have those, training wheels. Even an adult. It's too much to all of a sudden out of nowhere. I mean, I ride a bike because I started a million years ago, but I don't know if I could ride one if I just hopped on. I think you have to I don't know. They have that city bike here. Everybody's renting them.
Right.
And it's crazy. They don't think they have to follow any kind of rule. So they're like coming at you, and they need to wear a helmet.
Actually, while on the subject, do you have any funny stories you'd like to share? I mentioned I have a couple, but I would like to see your time after all.
No, you can share yours.
When we mentioned Tony Bennett, my dad met Tony Bennett. I think he was trying to think or remember. I think he came to his school at IS 125, and that's how he met him. My dad had a slice of pizza with. You should, if you're ever talking to Al Pacino, you should say, hey, do you remember your friend Al Plockton? Because, my dad went to meet Al Plockton at the school. And this guy came in and said, Al. And he came down with a baseball cap. It was hiding his face. Hey, Al, come over. Meet my friend Richie. And he took his hat off. And holy shit, that's Al freaking Pacino. And my dad just sat there and had a pizza. And so I said, hey, I had a pizza with Al Pacino. And my dad had a very interesting life. He started teaching when he was 19. He met Al Pacino. He met Tony Bennett. He was on New York City Parade. He had Wesley Snipes in his class. Around the corner is where J-Lo went to school for music. There's a lot of...
New York City?
Yes.
How'd you wind up in Hudson Valley?
Well, my dad always commuted. Everyone was born in Long Island. I was the only one born in Orange County.
There's an Orange County in California.
Right.
Kind of the opposite.
I always want to go there, but it's... Well, I'll pass it back to you. How do you deal with the earthquakes?
I don't know. It's we had that big one in what was it, 92, the Northridge. But I've been here with Sandy. I've been in New York with an earthquake and 2 tropical storms. So it's been more scary in New York and the snowstorms than the earthquakes in California. The earthquake I was prepared for. None of the storms here I've been prepared for. I mean, you get prepared, but whatever.
That's true, and I talked to my friend Kerrigan Mayhem. He did the voice of Goldar, and he said if we actually got like it was Hurricane Sandy, I'm going to ask you, how did Hurricane Sandy affect you? But he said, we got it. It wasn't as bad, but if we got like a full, F6 or F5 right down the throat of the city would be gone.
Yeah.
And while on that subject, how did you survive Hurricane Sandy?
Lots of candles. No, you know what I was going to say though while we were on the topic, because I don't, you were talking about natural disasters. You know, I took this training in Los Angeles when you were asking me about earthquakes, just to be serious for a moment.
Right.
And there's a thing called CERT training, right? And I took it so that if there is an earthquake, you're able to organize, triage, and get everybody doing a particular job, because when a natural disaster occurs, they have to be, any of the police and firemen, they have to be involved with securing any large infrastructure. They can't be coming to your house and shutting off your gas.
Right.
So that was something really important that I did, and it's something you have to continually do. I know that at the time when Governor Schwarzenegger was running the state, his wife was very active in getting people involved in CERT training. And I believe Michelle Obama's trying to get the country involved. And that's something that I think all of us should be taking up, as well as Red Cross training. Because you just never know, and it's better to be in an empowered situation and know what to do than to become a victim of the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And while on the subject, you don't have to be in California to get an earthquake. You know, if you go upstate to Potsdam or Plattsburgh, there's a fault line up there, so they get earthquakes too.
We had one in New York here in Soho in May. I think it was 3 years ago. But they're having them all over the country because they're taking out all the oil and whatnot. You can't keep taking everything out from under the earth and not expect it to shift around a little.
That's true. And you know, while on the subject, I'm going to ask you a serious question. How do you feel about fracking? And this will be our last subject.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're asking a hippy-dippy from California, but I'm not for it.
Yes.
I'm not for it.
You know, I'm with you. I'm with your sister. But you know,
I'll sign every petition. You know, there's I think there's more responsible ways to cut back rather than to continue to find ways to dump chemicals down into our groundwater, and it's just opening up so many more problems that we're prepared to.
yeah, I agree with you. And you seen 2012? That's actually not 2012. A day after tomorrow. That's a perfect example of why you shouldn't frack. But you know, people have to learn the hard ways.
They seem to, at the cost of everyone else. Look at California, the oil spill. They don't learn.
Now, wrapping up, do you have any funny stories you like to share or any words of wisdom?
Don't let anyone pigeonhole you and take anything. Like, we all carry our handicaps or what we aren't able to do. Some of us wear it on the outside, some of us wear it on the inside, but we all have it. Every single person.